I was like just pacing around my bedroom and listening to the book, and like 2 hours into the book I was like, holy shit, Janis, you've been such an idiot.
Hi, I'm Philip and welcome back to Careers 2.0. If I were to talk with my guest just a few years ago, I would have been talking with a middle manager at an international corporation. So what happened to Janis that he managed to quit his job, move to sunny Spain with his family, work from his laptop, and now teaches people a skill that he himself didn't know he had just a few years ago? Let's find out. Hi, Janis. Thank you so much for joining.
Hello. It's good to be here. Early morning. Finally, I'm talking with somebody who's like in the same country that I am.
Same time zone. Yeah, absolutely.
Because usually I talk with like people from states and stuff, and then it's like super late for me or something like that. So it's nice to be.
You know, I actually enjoy it. I go 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. to the office, and then it's completely empty. Studio is all mine, and that's actually brings me some pleasure. I don't know.
So you're a night owl, I assume.
Definitely night owl.
Okay, I'm the opposite. So yeah, okay.
Listen, let's start with a background on you. I think it could be an inspiration conversation for a lot of people who, like you, have been in corporate world. So I want to know how an IT project manager becomes a content creator.
Sure, I can give a bit of a background. So yeah, it's been like just to go back, I think I've been full-time creator for around 1.5 years. Before that, I was in IT for around 9 years, more or less. I kind of started with some sort of technical role. And after a couple of years, it just kind of got bored, wanted to spice things up, and started to move up in some sort of managerial position, just because, that kind of felt that I want to do it, and I had the opportunity to do it. When you work in these super large IT companies, you have the flexibility, to express what you want and just kind of try out different roles. So that's how I kind of stumbled into project management. But at the same time, when I felt this a bit like, I feel kind of stuck, it's the same thing all over again. And that was around the time when one of my colleagues said, hey, do you want to go to this college type of thing? It's business psychology, let's learn a bit of business, a bit of psychology. I was like, I feel, kind of stuck, whatever, let's do it, sounds like could be useful in regardless where I move in my life. So I kind of went there, and actually the school made a big switch, and my switch into the creator economy, because there was one subject which was this create a business idea or something like that. Basically, the whole thing of that lecture was like, hey, in a week you need to come and you need to present a business idea. And I don't know what, but some sort of switch happened in my brain, because I've always have been this entrepreneur, I always talk about ideas and this and that, but never really do anything about it, just be this big talker, but not big of a doer.
I don't know.
But I don't know what kind of switch happened, but I was like, hey, Janis, let's figure out actually a business idea, which you can start right now, with your 9-to-5 job, without any investment, because I didn't have any whatever, so something that you can actually start as a side business, not this aspirational whatever I will build, next Facebook or something, and then just dream about it and never do anything. And that was during that week, I kind of went on the rabbit hole, hey, what I could actually do, and I somehow I stumbled upon this online business thing, and I got really curious about okay, people are making money online, there's this and that, and just kind of went on a rabbit hole. And that was around, I think, 5 years ago from this moment. So it was not the early days, but it was pretty early. And yeah, whatever. I made some sort of business plan. It was something about Pinterest or whatever, none of that happened. But what really happened was this spark, this new dream, this new possibilities and whatever. I got really hooked into that.
With the idea of visualization, or it was completely something else, completely elsewhere?
No, it was just the aspiration to make a living online. That was basically the the kind of the desire, the aspiration I had back then. I didn't had any clue, do I want to be a content creator? I didn't even know that it was a thing. It was more like, I want to live this laptop lifestyle, I wanna be my own boss. I wanna live from my laptop.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the dream back then. And then I stumbled upon the 4-hour work week, which I'm sure like all creators pretty much have read and referenced to.
I think that's where it started for me. That's where I first saw the idea too.
Really? Yeah. I'm not a big reader. I didn't read any books previously. And I still remember I was listening to that book, and I was like 2 hours into that book. I was like just pacing around my bedroom and listening to the book. And like 2 hours into the book, I was like, holy shit, Janis, you've been such an idiot. Meaning that just there was so much things, that going on that I didn't know anything about. And at that point I was like, in my early 20s, kind of feeling like, I understand life, I'm pretty smart, this and that. And that was just like huge slap in the face that there's so much to learn and so much to do. And yeah, everything changed since then, and since then, kind of to move fast forward, I was reading a bunch of books. I was trying like different ideas. I was trying a bit of blogging. I even tried like to partner with some sort of guy from USA to build a SaaS app. I tried journals and like various different things, YouTube, podcasting, like very short amount of time. Basically do like a couple of YouTube videos and a couple of podcast episodes, and like, not for me. And that kind of dragged on for around 4 years, I think. I was still working in my job and just being curious about all this creative stuff and just reading books, trying different things, and just basically having fun.
When does the fun stop? When did you realize that it's no longer fun?
Fun really have never stopped. Like 2 years back, I was kind of just getting real with myself in terms of like, hey, Janis, you've tried these different things and you're kind of just trying to have fun, and you do things, that feels like progress, but it's not actually progress. You don't like figure out how to build an audience or whatever. You just do things that are interesting to you, which is fine and cool, and you can have hobbies. But I had this desire, I want to do this full time. So how can I make it happen? And around 2 years ago, there was just this commitment that, hey, Janis, really try to figure out and commit, try to take this seriously, enough of like dabbling, and you do it as a hobby, try to figure out and commit. And it came around the same time when I discovered my curiosity for visuals, and those things kind of happened at the same time. And yeah, since those 2 years, I started publishing daily. Visuals started finally to gain some progress, some audience came in, some comments came in. I was like, oh my God, interesting. I started to like connect with other different people, and that was extremely liberating, because previously I was just lone wolf,
So have you had any background in art, visualizations, anything, illustration?
Well, my secondary school was mixed with interior design. I kind of usually say that I don't have any design background, because like, okay, I learned some stuff there, but I don't know how much it influences actually the stuff I do. A lot of, I guess what I could say, I don't know. You definitely don't need to be a designer to do this type of thing, which I'm doing, which is mostly like explaining ideas visually. When things go to like really fancy illustrations or something super creative, or I don't know, then I think you need that sort of stuff. And I don't have the skill set to do any like those type of things. But like explaining ideas visually, it's pretty easy.
Was it another like a moment when you realized? So the first one being, okay, I want to now create a business, be on my own, live the laptop life. And then the second bag, when you found your thing, was it such a eureka moment as well, when you realized, oh, the visualizations, this is the thing that I want to do, and that's what made you do it daily? Or it was something else that made you commit to this particular idea?
Well, yeah. I think the commitment came a bit after I discovered visuals. And it's a good question which you are asking here, because previously when I did like YouTube, blogs, all these type of things, they are like really hard actually. They take quite a lot of time. And I struggle quite a bit with perfectionism, and when you try to make a video similar to Matt Diavella, it will take you a freaking week just to make that one video. And it's not easy, and it's very unsustainable. At least it was for me, because like family, kids, your 9-to-5 job, it just felt really hard to be consistent with it. Same with like writing. Writing does not come easy for me. And like making blogs as well felt like an uphill battle. All those things which I did previously, they kind of felt like an uphill battle. And when I discovered visuals, like there was three basically triggers which put me on the visual path. First trigger was, you probably have read either book or blog posts by James Clear. And if you have noticed in his blog posts, he sometimes uses some sort of illustrations, very simple XY graphs or something like that, just to kind of emphasize some of his concepts or explain a bit better. And that was the first time when I kind of got this idea, like, hey, you can actually like explain an idea just with a visual and a couple of words. Like, that's really cool. It's really interesting. And that was the first hook. And then the second hook for me was when I discovered Jack Butcher. I don't know if you know him, but he's like pretty big on Twitter and on Instagram.
Visualize value, of course.
Yeah, visualize value brand, just these super simple black and white visualizations. And I think he was like, when I discovered him, he was around 2 years into his journey. So he was doing it as a full-time thing. And he was like basically proving to me that this actually can be a full-time thing. You don't need to do it like James Clear, that this is a supplementary thing to your blog posts. But Jack Butcher kind of proved that this can be like your main thing. And basically all his business was made and the audience was built on these visuals, just sharing these quotes with visuals and whatnot. And that was a big kind of, I guess it really helped to strengthen my belief that I could do it. Because when you look at these Jack Butcher visuals, there is this weird sense that anybody can do it. It feels like super easy. At the same time, it's like really hard actually to come up with those concepts. It's not that easy, but I can see, and everybody can see, like how you can get that feeling. Anybody can do it, So whatever, I'll do the same. Seems like a good business. There was another like visual artist which really sparked my kind of desire to pursue this, and which is on Instagram. They are quite big. It's an account called Liz and Molly, and they mostly create content around feelings at work, various feelings which you feel at the companies and stuff, and kind of really acknowledging people's feelings, when it comes to big corporations or just introvert type of things and that sort of stuff. And they were quite big, and they really kind of sparked this idea in me that, hey, you don't really always need to create these illustrations, which is like value based, let's explain ideas, let's give you some productivity tip, let's give like some sort of like other type of idea, value, or nugget of wisdom. But they gave me this idea that, hey, like acknowledging people's feelings, without providing any like, hey, do this, here's 5 steps how to do that. It's extremely valuable, And I had this big bag of ideas and big bag of experience of 4 years failing as a creator, kind of failing, just not gaining any progress. So kind of my theme really started with like creative struggles. That was like, I think, majority of my content. And it resonated really well because like a lot of creators really resonated with that. Their feelings were acknowledged. I had a bunch of content to create in that regard. And that's kind of how things kicked off for me.
Yeah, you bring an interesting point about the coming up with the ideas. That's where I think when I'm looking at your content is like, how this guy comes up with this stuff so consistently all the time. So can you please share some secret?
I think one thing which I always say to people is like, you need to tune up your awareness a bit when you go about your day, because like when you read stuff, when we have this conversation, there is something which can spark some sort of idea or whatever. You read a quote or you read a book and you listen to an interesting idea, and that reminds of some sort of experience you had. Or you sit at computer, and you're just exhausted, and maybe why I'm exhausted, you quickly type 2-sentence idea on your notes. Like main thing, I think there's 2 things. You need to tune up a bit your awareness. And the second thing is really to develop this habit of quick idea capture. You need to just capture ideas constantly because you will forget them. If you, before the bed, have an idea, don't write that idea down. In the morning, that idea is gone. You can't remember it. I think it's just classic. So those are 2 main things, and then after that, of course, you can read content, do this and that, and just there's a bunch of other like kind of triggers how to get ideas. But I think 2 fundamental things is just you need to tune up your awareness a bit and kind of look for ideas when you go about your day and just have the habit of capturing it. And then when I sit down to do my illustration, I have just hundreds and thousands of notes I can scroll and just, hey, I feel this, that there is something here. And then you just go and design that and publish it. And that's that.
I think you're talking like a true artist. Most artists, I think their best art comes from personal struggles, and you had to go through those 4 years of being stuck or failures in order to get you to that place. Do you have any advice to people how to avoid that? If they don't want to go through the 4 years of struggles, or even 3 or even 2, how would you speed up this process knowing now what you know?
First thing I think which comes to mind, at least in my case, I have this phrase, stop justifying your own bullshit. I consider myself a bit as a naive optimist, and there are often these times where you just work on things which are very fun, very interesting to know, but deep down you kind of know this like there isn't market for it, or people don't really care, you share with your friends and none of your friends are really like interested in it. And I think there is a kind of a point where you need to stop justifying a bit your own bullshit and look like at the big picture, okay, whatever, what type of skill sets I need to have this or that, just not really try to shortcut everything, because we are talking about this, I had this 4 years of struggles, and now it's it's content, it's stories, it's a place where I can get like interesting ideas. And I think if you expect like results right away, you just probably might be pretty disappointed, because the results will not come as fast as you want. But if you look at it like, hey, okay, I'll maybe fail for a couple of months, maybe a year, but I'm developing stories, it's my journey. I will come on the other side.
You mentioned Jack Butcher and Visualize Value, and I actually saw you talking about personal versus professional brand a little bit, and I wanted to get your insight on. So Jack Butcher, even though he has a personal brand, he grew as Visualize Value, right, with his visualizations, and you decided to go with your name and your face. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation, and I know a lot of creators kind of struggle with this, and they can't really figure out which way they want to go. And I don't think there is a right way how to do it, but here's how I thought about it. Like, I understand the value in a brand, like you are able maybe to sell it later on. It's easier to kind of delegate things later down the line, make a team behind you and stuff like that. You can still make a team behind a personal brand as well, but it's easier kind of to move yourself out of a brand and kind of maybe start another thing or something like that. But when everything is tied to your personal brand, it may be a bit harder, and maybe later down the line, it's just, I don't know, it's harder to move yourself out of the business. How I thought about it and why I went with personal brand, a lot of decisions when it comes to content creation, my like framework, which I follow, is I kind of try to think what I like to see, what type of content I like to engage, why I buy certain things, why I click likes on certain things, why I engage with certain things. And what I realized is like I really like to connect with people instead of brands. Even if like, I think Jack Butcher has done a really good job of kind of integrating himself in the brand, and everybody understands Visualize Value equals Jack Butcher. I think he did a really good job there. But personally, I just like to see faces. I like to buy from people. I like to engage with people. And that was kind of why I went with the personal brand. I thought like, okay, let's imagine if this goes like crazy viral, I get like super insanely big, whatever. I don't know. It felt like it would still be doable, because a lot of people are doing it, whatever. James Clear, Mark Manson, various extremely, like all the YouTubers and whatnot, there's loads of people who are doing it. And I just thought, if they can do it, why not me, even if this goes like crazy big or whatever. So that was kind of the framework. And it was, I guess, another point, because I thought personal brand will bring results faster than a branded account. That was, I guess, another inflection point, not inflection point, but thought pattern, which I had, because like I personally like to engage with people.
Did you have any fear regarding that? I think about one of your most popular visualizations actually is about I want to do this, but I'm scared. Do it scared. And I think a lot of people have a fear of showing themselves out there or their personal emotions, thoughts, opinions. Did you have any sort of reservations like that, or it was quite natural for you?
Well, I think I still do, and it's definitely a stronger feeling at the beginning, and I believe most people feel that, especially all the YouTubers who are just being extremely vulnerable, by putting their faces out and whatnot, even especially if you're like whatever daily vlogger like Casey Neistat type of thing, that's extremely hard to do, and I think to overcome those fears. In my case, it wasn't that crazy because, to be honest, I don't share a lot of my personal stories. I don't share a lot of my like personal pictures. I just have my profile picture and I share these visuals, and every now and then some sort of ideas and stuff. And my content is not like super controversial or anything like that, where I should fear some extreme criticism or something like that. So not really, but I think I'm in a pretty safe space.
Are you trying to avoid controversial things? Because like controversy drives engagement. Everybody knows that. And some people do it on purpose, trying to, find the place or post things that may spark discussions, even though if they don't agree with them or that's the only reason why they do it. Are you trying on purpose to avoid controversial things?
I believe yes. Because I guess I don't like being in position, and argue a lot. It's just not in my nature. I'm not a fan of it. So I don't really create content around it. Apart if it's something I really believe in strongly or something, and I have a really good like understanding and I have clear like thoughts and my, whatever self philosophy about a certain idea, which I can like kind of argue about and I find it maybe enjoyable or whatever, that's maybe when I would do it. But I definitely don't do it for sake of engagement or anything like that. No.
Let's talk a little bit about the platforms that you have started with and continue. You have around, I think, 50K followers on Twitter, 100K on Instagram. Where did it start? How did it grow? And which one, most importantly, is the more valuable one in terms of revenue for you?
Yeah, I think in terms of revenue, I would say Twitter probably, but Instagram is pretty close as it's twice as big. When I look at platforms like Twitter is, if you are not like into like politics and those type of things, it's actually there's loads of business people and a lot of people hire through Twitter, and I get like loads of freelance opportunities through Twitter comparing to Instagram. And yeah, a lot of gigs has came through Twitter, even if the following there is kind of smaller. But at the beginning, it was bigger because I started with Twitter. And the reason why I started with it is just I enjoyed that platform more than I did Instagram. It was just like kind of, what do I like, and I went with that. So I started with Twitter. But early on, I started to repurpose the content on Instagram and LinkedIn. But it was like Twitter was and I think still is my kind of priority in terms that I engage the most, like in comments and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But on Instagram and LinkedIn, I just kind of repurposed the visual. But I think Instagram is a bit more, as I said, Twitter is a bit more like business-like, and a lot of business vibes and hiring is going on there. And it's just kind of more creators and doers, and let's go and get stuff done. And that type of vibe is there. It's like almost being in some sort of like conference or whatever. And Instagram to me feels like it's more like a Netflix, people really are just consuming content there. And a lot of it, they are just not interested to do anything about it or just to maybe make a business or whatever. It's mostly like entertainment and Netflix type of vibes there versus Twitter, in my opinion.
All right. I wanted to ask about the freelance. You mentioned that a lot of gigs and opportunities came from Twitter. Can you tell us a little bit about your income streams, how diversified they are, how much comes from productization, the products that you sell, maybe a little bit about them, and how much from freelance?
I was in a pretty good position because I quit my job at April of 2020. And I actually didn't plan to leave my job, but it was around when COVID happened and all the like lockdowns and all that sort of stuff. So we weren't going out much and stuff, and we saved up quite a bit of money. So once I just sat down with my wife and we talked about it, and I was a bit like stressed in my work, and like the visualizations a bit started to kick off, some sort of freelance gigs started to came in, even if I said no at the beginning for them, but I had a good runway, and I just decided to pull the plug because some sort of momentum started to happen with like my visualizations, and as I said, like freelance gigs started to roll in. So I was in a good position in terms I was able to say no to a lot of opportunities that came in, and I haven't worked actually on that much freelance gigs, but the ones I have worked has been like pretty like big names, good money, and just really, really good gigs. So I was able to turn down a lot of them, and I have never seeked out a freelance gigs. It always just somebody DMs you on Twitter. That's probably 70% how the like freelance gigs came. Hey, I like what you create, love your content. Can you do this for me or whatever, for my book or something like that. Yeah, Instagram has been, I guess now it's growing because, Instagram is, I have twice as much followers there versus Twitter, so some sort of gigs come from there as well, but definitely less than Twitter. So don't underestimate Twitter. I think it's a pretty good platform to get work. And in terms of kind of revenue streams and where the money comes from, it's this year I made, I think, nearly or precisely 100K in revenue, and like 65% of that was my Explain Ideas Visually course and community sales, which is just one digital product I currently have, and the rest was freelance.
Okay, let's go back to the product that you mentioned, Explain Ideas Visually. Can you talk us through the process of creating it? Was it something you had in mind from the very beginning? I know I will create my visualizations and then hopefully help other people do the same, or it was the demand from the people that wanted your help in their endeavors that you decided to create it?
Well, when you create content, and of course you have these ideas in the back of your mind, what type of products you could create, a lot of ideas were like going around in my head, and of course one of them was course, but it was never like really strong desire to make it at the beginning or whatever. I was really just focusing on building my audience, but luckily quite a few people asked me directly, like, can you teach me this? Like, do you have a course? I want to learn this. How do you do this? How you think about this? So there was quite a lot of demand to make a course. And of course it's the best position any creator can be, just when really people ask you to make something, some sort of demand is there.
Do you have a strict strategy of like, I'm going to post twice per week and then I'm going to plug my course right underneath it, or you expect people to just find the course and the offer when they stumble upon it?
I wish it would be cool if people would just stumble upon it and it would be all good and you don't need to sell at all. Unfortunately, it's not always the case. Of course, a lot of sales come in like that, which people just discover Janis. Oh, I like how he creates this. Hey, seems he's selling this, whatever, let's give it a try. But yeah, you certainly need to sell. I don't have a good strategy. I think it's my biggest weakness at the moment, and it's something I kind of try to get better at and try to figure out some sort of strategy. I want to do this kind of hybrid model. I want to do like main course content. I want to deliver as a live in one specific week. Like you can consume it as a self-paced course, anytime, join anytime you want. But having this live week every month where I kind of deliver core concepts live with some Q&A, and we have like meet and greet sessions that week, it's a nice incentive kind of to sell it. And it's a nice like incentive and a bit like more desire for people to join, because of course people like to join these live events. They like cohort type of courses. So that's one thing which I want to try, because I kind of enjoy teaching live as well. But I think I will do it only for a year, because showing up every month live, it's it's not the full-on laptop lifestyle. It requires
Okay.
a bit more demand from you, as you need to show up live.
How does the correlation between you posting and you selling looks like? So I understand that while you were growing significantly and quickly, the sales grew together with it. Did you notice that when you post a little bit less, that the sales also drop? And what is the correlation between the two?
There is correlation. I would say mostly it is like when the engagement is high, when I'm active, when I'm posting daily, more sales will come in versus when I'm not active. But sometimes it still can be like something can go like extremely mega viral, and still it doesn't. If you don't promote it, it doesn't drive any sales, because again, it's like this
Mhm.
consuming type of content, where people are just enjoying my visual just as they would with some sort of meme. And it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody, wants to jump in and learn how to do visuals, not everybody want to do it. But there certainly are some sort of correlation. And of course, you can drive more sales when you do these, maybe some sort of story type of threads, where I explain a bit my journey and explain how I got here, and then maybe you plug it at the end, or you just give some nuggets about how to explain ideas visually, and explain people why you don't need to be a designer to do this, and give some examples and stuff like that. And then you pitch at the end. Of course, that drives more sales than just regular content, which I usually create.
You mentioned an interesting thing that I would like to go back to. You don't create your visuals specifically for people who want to create visuals, right? You do about creators and creator lifestyle in general, or personal motivation, productivity, and things like that. And yet, a lot of people just seeing you feel inspired to do the same as you do. How do you think about your audience? Like, do you create specifically for people that you hope would like to do what you do, or you just mostly create for yourself actually, and the people just flock to you?
I do create for myself. I really like this quote, which maybe you have heard from Tim Urban, who is like the author of Wait But Why blog, extremely popular blog. And he draws these funny characters, and he has like a famous TED talk about procrastination,
Yeah.
which you should go and watch if somebody haven't. It's hilarious and so good.
Yeah, it opened my eye on procrastination monster. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really good. And his kind of motto, how he like creates content, is that he imagines like a stadium full of Tim Urbans, basically full stadium of himself, and that is his audience. He basically just tries to please himself, and that's how like kind of he attracts similar type of people to as his readers. And it's a similar approach I apply to myself as well. I just create stuff I would like to consume. I consume and learn about interesting things which I'm interested in, so I share that stuff, and I don't know, some people like it, some people don't, but at least I think this kind of, in some sense, guarantees that you will not burn out and you will not be in a bad place after a couple of years where you have created this facade, and tried to pretend that you're not who you really are, or just share content which you're not passionate about, and just try to tailor it for whatever likes or sales or whatever. I think that's a path to not basically path to a great place, and I think this approach is pretty good if you want to do this long term. So yeah, that's how I think about it. I like to apply this 80-20 rule here. 80% of the time, whatever, create what you really like, do the stuff you really enjoy, okay, 20% of the think about like maybe some growth hacks, or, maybe what could resonate better or whatever. Give yourself a place for that whatever type of, try to engineer the growth or whatever, but 80% of the time, be yourself, do content you like. I think that's a good approach to have.
You said somewhere that you want to, I think it was one of your goals for this year, maybe, that you want to bring more people into a creator economy. So how would you like to do it? How would you like to build a stadium of Janises, basically?
Yeah, I think all companies have these mission statements and whatnot, and if I would have something like that, I guess I do have it like that, but it's just cringy to talk about these things, but it's the truth. I think like my big aspirational goals with my work, what I want to do is just bring more people into creative economy, and opened their eyes to personal development as well, because I think those two things have been like one of the best things that have happened in my life. One was when I discovered personal development, with like Tim Ferriss, and then binging loads of other types of books and stuff like that. It's been just extremely fulfilling and motivating, and I think have improved my life drastically. And it's the same with this creator economy type of thing, or just creating stuff, just being myself and reading and writing and creating these visuals. It's extremely fulfilling, regardless if you make it as a business or not. And as those two things have been extremely fulfilling for me, I kind of hope with my work to bring more people into those worlds and hope they will experience similar benefit as I have. And how I plan to do it, I don't know. There's loads of different ways, through my online content. One thing which I will start work on this year is a coffee table book, and I really hope to make a lot of these coffee table books, which is basically, just imagine a book when you go to some company lobby or at your home, something that is easy to pick up and it looks beautiful, and then maybe on one side of page, you have some sort of explanation or some quotes or something. And then on the other side, there's my visual, and I think those type of books could be kind of nice way, maybe how random people could discover.
So you're going into physical products now as well. That's quite a transition, isn't it? How do you are you comfortable in now printing and distributing? It's how do you go about expanding into that?
Yeah, physical products is definitely something I kind of fear, because there's the leverage for digital products and the ease and everything. It's just so compelling to stick with digital products. Book is something I would like to do. It's again something I would like to have in my home, and I still don't know which route I will go. I'm actually like sending a mail to one publisher just to understand what they will bring to the table, what I need to bring to the table, what the economy is, like how all the deal is structured and so on. If I go with a publisher, which basically handles pretty much everything, and it's really, you just collect your royalties and it's zero headache for me. But of course, those royalties are a lot, I think, less than if I go self-publishing route. So it's an interesting thing. I still don't know which route I will go, because I think same as, with a lot of companies like Printful and whatnot, these print-on-demand type of things really accelerate and get better. So maybe self-publishing route could be sustainable as well, because I definitely don't want to deal like with all the like shipment, printing and all that sort of stuff. I want it to be completely delegated. I don't want to think about it at all. If it could be done really easily by going self-publishing route, I might consider that. If not, I could go with publishers. So we'll see. I really don't know. If you ask me next year about this, I will have a lot more to say about this.
Okay, we have a date for next year then to talk about that and the progress that you've
Sure.
made. But you mentioned actually Printful and print on demand in general. I was surprised seeing how amazing your visualizations are, that there is not a store with a merge and your visualizations on that merge all over the place. Why is that?
I'm not sure if the ROI will be there. So I'm not sure if I want to put in the effort of creating it and putting it out to kind of validate that. There's just some other priorities which I'm prioritizing at the moment. I'm not sure. I guess I will test various options, but there's just other priorities at the moment. That's why I'm not really doing it.
I know you're moving to Spain, so that's, I guess, the big life priority. But in terms of your business priorities, what would that be?
Yeah, I think in terms of business priorities, there's kind of three big, maybe four big goals which I have in mind for this year. One is kind of to restructure and improve the Explain Ideas visually course and community and create this hybrid cohort type of experience for this year, which I'm working on currently. It's not that much work, but yeah, that's kind of one thing. Then I have another course in mind, which could be called maybe Creator Fundamentals or something like that, because this is again another inquiry which I get quite a lot. Is like, hey Janis, how do you even think about this creator economy? Where to start, where to go, how to think about this? All these questions which we have discussed in this podcast. Very basic stuff. It could be just a very simple, very cheap course I could probably put out just to capture those people who want to learn from me about this type of thing. So that's another course I would like to create this year. And third kind of big thing which I'm working on is the book, as we discussed. Well, not really currently working on, but kind of thinking about it and gathering some content, and then just talking about trying to decide, do I go self-publishing route or with a publisher. So a book is another thing. And the third thing, I'm kind of trying to take newsletter more seriously and really to publish every week. Would love to grow my newsletter and kind of monetize that side of the business as well by having some sponsors and stuff like that, because it's a bit more predictable income, I would say. So it's nice to grow that channel as well. And I'm kind of enjoying to send out those newsletters and those ideas and maybe elaborate on some concepts which I have created visuals for, and maybe did a little one-liner on Twitter, but I would love to expand on it a bit more. So it's a nice medium where to kind of do that.
How do you look at the value of an email subscriber versus a Twitter follower or Instagram follower? From on one hand, you have in email an actual contact, an actual person that you can reach out to. On the other, the scale is always much lower than on social media. How do you look at that, at the value of those?
It was pretty recent when I started to take it more seriously, and I've been just kind of quite consistent with sending it out every week. But I have not done like any, very hard promotions. Send out to my list, hey, I made this, you can buy it here, and then kind of see the results of that. But what I can tell is, of course, it's a lot different, because if things don't go like viral on Instagram, on Twitter, a very, very, very small portion of my followers will see that. But kind of with newsletter, I can expect, if I currently have nearly 6,000 followers with roughly 55% open rate, I pretty much know that kind of half of those people will see the thing which I will send them, and they have put their email address in and they have not unsubscribed. So kind of they are quite warm people towards me. So I think it's a wonderful medium. I still have a lot to like kind of explore there. And I really like to engage like with people there as well. Sometimes people kind of reply and we just have back and forward chat and talk about interesting things, and some ideas come from there as well. So it's a really nice medium. But I think if you create something like that, you need to figure out a way how to, again, make it sustainable for you. I have this ideas newsletter, and my format is kind of, I share with you a couple of short ideas every week. It might be 1, it might be 2, it might be 4, it might be 5. And it gives me kind of the flexibility to kind of be consistent, but not overwhelm myself. If I have more time on my hands and if I have a lot to say, I can send like more ideas and elaborate more on them. And sometimes I will just share something super simple, like I did last newsletter, where I basically sent 2 ideas, which took me like 30 minutes to make. But still, those were like interesting ideas, and a lot of people replied, hey, this was super helpful and stuff.
I actually have one more question to you, but it's part of our quick-fire round. Those couple questions, fast answers. Yep. Are you up for that?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. So let's start with this one. Team player or lone wolf?
Lone wolf.
Take risks or carefully calculate?
Leaning towards taking risks.
Okay. Mobile or desktop?
Desktop.
Who inspires you most?
There's 2 things I want to say. I want to really say like mentors and people from like all these books, all the Tim Ferrisses of the world. But at the same time, just my peers, people who created me, people from my course who kind of get results and stuff. That's very motivating to see as well, and kind of cheer them on. And yeah, there's two answers here.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Something around downhill mountain biking, instructor for kids.
Nice. What is an underappreciated business tool that you couldn't live without?
Still phone, Most of us waste our time there, but it can be actually like a tool for videos and taking notes and whatnot, and you can pretty much run your business from phone these days.
What's your productivity life hack?
Make it enjoyable, do what you like.
And what does success mean to you?
Success to me means when I live and when I craft my life like according to my values, you probably should create some sort of intention, how you want to kind of live your life, how you want your life to be, what you want to do. And if you like accomplish that, I think that is well lived. But definitely you need to create your own recipe for success. Don't follow somebody else's.
Keeping that in mind, do you feel successful right now? Are you there already, or you're just on the pathway?
I'm on the pathway, but definitely I would say 70% there, maybe even 80%. I think it's just, I really feel the power of the hedonic treadmill, you know, which is like, if you would give what I have currently Janis 2-3 years ago, I would just shit in my pants and be like, holy shit, you made it, dude, you made it. This is awesome. But when you kind of just experience this progress over time, you always kind of, you have some more desires and more things you wanna do and accomplish, and some sort of lifestyle upgrades you wanna do. But no, I should be more grateful. I think I'm 80% there and feeling super lucky and blessed. And thank you everybody for the support who's listening, who's following me and cheering me on.
All right. Then I congratulate you very warmly for the 80%, because I think that's an amazing number. But I still wish you this 20. You know, maybe you shouldn't feel actually this 20, because who wants to be 100% happy, 100% successful, and then what?
Exactly.
So maybe we should always have this margin, right? To go after.
For sure, that's a good mindset to have.
All right, thank you so much. I think it was really valuable and inspirational to me and to others. So thanks a lot for joining.
Thank you. It was really fun.
Even with a 9-to-5 and a family to support, you can still learn new skills and learn how to monetize them. And frankly, talking with all those awesome creators, I feel like I'm building my own career 2.0. So please join me next week when we learn from another amazing creative entrepreneur. Take care.